Today I'm out in the shop replacing the spark plugs on my 2013 Mustang GT Premium with a 5-liter engine. But this applies to any 2011 through 2021 5-liter or 2016 through 2022 5.2-liter engine, whether that engine is in a Mustang or F-150 or whatever. At Stiles Automotive, I do general automotive work, modifications, and tips. If you found this video helpful, be sure to watch the other videos and please subscribe. Okay, to get started, I washed the engine and washed the car the night before, and I'm just going to blow it off with compressed air. I'm going to pay particular attention to the electrical connectors for the coils, making sure they're clean, because this is not a fair weather car, but it doesn't get driven in the salt, this Mustang. But on the F-150, if you've got the 5-liter, it's the same procedure for replacing the spark plugs. But if it's dirty here and it can collect dirt up in these pockets, make sure you get those cleaned out so you're not getting any dirt down into your spark plug well, and it'll make it easier to get these connectors apart. So I've ran the car for about 2 minutes. Ford says you want to have a warm car when you're replacing the spark plugs on the 5-liter. So I've ran the car for about 2 minutes. You don't want to have it be hot, but about 2 minutes is enough to make the engine warm. A detailed procedure on how to remove these coil covers, Stiles Automotive video, coil cover removal. The information's here on the screen, and I'll also put a link in this video's description. I'm going to hit it with compressed air one more time after I have the coil covers off. To remove the coil connector, it has a locking tab on it and then a tab that you have to push in. So either a small regular screwdriver or a medium regular screwdriver to get underneath the red locking tab and push it up, and it should not pop all the way out, it should just pop up. Once you've done that, you can use the screwdriver, but you want to push it down to release the pressure on the lock, and then push it in, and then you should be able to feel it release, and then just gently pry it up. My hand's in the way for some of this, but as my hand comes away, you can see that the connector's released. What I'm having problems with is this wiring harness. The big bundle of wiring harness that's above it is not letting the connector go up. I think there's only a couple connectors like this that are this bad. The rest of them have a little bit of room and are easier to remove. Remove the coil, just one 8mm head size bolt. And again, you could use an impact on this, but I prefer to use all hand tools when doing this job. And of course my car comes apart pretty easy. Five-liter engines may need a screwdriver to help pry the coil up and out, but my car is in such nice shape that it doesn't really require it. You can just pull the coils out with your hand. And that's the Ford MotorCraft coil. give you a quick look down into the spark plug well. It's relatively clean, but we're going to blow it out one more time just to ensure that any particles are blown out. There isn't any trick to this. Just try to keep your extension in the middle of the bore so you're not upsetting that spark plug, the insulator of the spark plug. And that's like any spark plug job. You don't want to put a side load on the spark plug and then the insulator at all. I don't know if you could hear that. It was groaning a little bit. Ford puts these in dry. If we get that autofocus. Anyway, not too bad. A little discoloration, but overall still a good looking plug. And with the spark plug out, we're gonna blow it out one more time. Apply a good nickel anti-seize to my new spark plugs. I've chosen to replace my plugs with the Bosch double iridium stock number 9616 or part number HR7N1133X. I've always had good luck with Bosch plugs, and I've always heard that their threads are cut better. They're rolled threads rather than die cut. So I've got the same part number for these Bosch spark plugs. Looks like the exact same spark plug. This one's made in China. Same part number on the plug. Hopefully they'll work just fine. Bosch is known for its precision threads on its spark plugs. I wonder if there'll be a difference, if you could notice a difference. It almost looks like they're a little bit different color. I almost think you can tell a difference between the threads. It almost seems like there's more flat on the tip of the threads, that these are made better than these. Do you see that, or is it just the light? See how maybe it's just the coloring of the material. See how there's more flat on the outside of the threads on the Chinese made ones. Finer thread on the end on the German made. You tell me in the comments if you can see the difference. Ford recommends you replace your spark plugs every 100,000 miles, and these iridium or even the double platinum spark plugs will last that long. They'll function fine that long, but that's an awful long time for spark plug threads to be in aluminum heads, and I really worry about the threads. I feel more comfortable replacing spark plugs every 50 to 70,000 miles. I took my time and got a nice even coat of anti-seize on all the threads and just a little bit on the mating surface there, on the sealing surface. The only other thing I need then is my 5/8 spark plug socket. It has a rubber insert in it, and then a few extensions. I'll need a longer extension than this little guy, but 3/8 is big enough size. I typically use 1/2-inch drive on everything, but for spark plugs, 3/8 drive is the way to go. And so in this project, we're just going to use a 1/4 inch, 8mm 1/4 inch ratchet and extension, and then 3/8 ratchet and extension. And I don't like to use any impact tools when I'm doing spark plugs. I'm going to take my new plug, insert it into my spark plug, and these are gap to 51 thousandths, and you want to make sure you check those. They come pre-gapped at 51 thousandths, but you want to ensure that no damage occurred during shipment or whatever. And these are torqued to 125 inch-pounds. I don't know what that is in foot-pounds. It's not very much. I typically just do these by feel. And again, I'm using 3/8 drive tools. And you can see my long extension is plenty long enough. And I'm threading the spark plug in by hand until it's tight. And then just a 125 inch-pounds is not much. So I'm going to choke up on it and take it just a little bit further. And that's plenty. I'm going to blow it out with compressed air one more time. I don't know if you saw this when I took it out, but this rubber seal on the coil has been upset just a little bit. I'm going to try to straighten that out just a little bit. It's probably not a big deal. Probably came, you know, in factory that way. And I'm going to clean this up just a little bit. I'm going to clean up this connector and the coil connector with electrical contact cleaner. And mine's really pretty clean already. But if yours is dirty, spend a little extra time and clean it good. And then of course apply a little dielectric grease to the coil, both here in the boot and on the upper seal, to keep it soft and so it seals good, keep moisture out. And then on the electrical connector, that'll help keep moisture out of the electrical connector and make it so it comes apart much easier the next time. I'm also going to apply it here on the electrical connector to the face and just smear it around. And I'm just going to blow that well out one more time before I put the coil back in. And then the coil goes back in, connector up, align the bowl hole. Push it in. Should seat nicely, especially with the new dielectric grease on it. Clean the 8mm head size bolt up with a wire brush and then a little anti-seize on it. Be careful when there's anti-seize or other lubricants on a fastener. It's easy to over torque it. So don't over torque these little 8mm head size bolts. That's just 8mm head size, so it doesn't need much torque. Make sure your coil's seated. And then the connector just goes back on. There's not a lot of room there. Just enough with the wiring harness, and push it on until you hear a click, and then attempt to pull it back off. I heard a good solid click on mine, so I know that it's there. So push it down, and then the lock goes back down in, and that'll click just a little bit too. And that's it. That takes care of cylinder number 1 on the 5-liter. I didn't have to do anything special over on the left bank, but on the right bank here for the number 4 cylinder, I had to remove the positive battery terminal because of this assembly to get the coil out. So before you remove the positive terminal, make sure you remove the negative. Always remove the negative first. I don't normally disconnect the battery just to do spark plugs, but for that number 4 cylinder, this is quite a big chunk of assembly here on the back side of the battery, and it interferes with getting the coil out. So that concludes the video. I'll get to all the other 7 cylinders in just a minute, and you go ahead and get your project started. If you found this video helpful, let me know in the comments, and please subscribe. I look forward to your comments.